Okay, we got a ton of gaming news over the last few days. Season of Discovery, we got some discussions about PvP in the game overall. MoP Remix getting ready to release soon. Updates on the War Within, Cataclysm, and some other gaming news near the end of the video. My name's Sky from the Comeback Kids. We got your gaming news today. Grab a cup of coffee, sit down. We got a lot to discuss. Now, there's something magical about immersing yourself in an RPG where you can truly be whatever you want. If you're anything like me, you're always looking for something epic. V Rising, one of the biggest games on the planet, is making huge leaps in 2024 with massive gameplay updates across the board, as well as a Castlevania DLC, which is out now on Steam. In V Rising, you take on the role of a vampire set in an open world survival game format, and the game combines elements of survival, crafting, base building, and both PvE and PvP combat as you navigate the world, hunt for resources, build your own castle, and compete against other players and enemies to pretty much see who the biggest and baddest vampire of them all is out there. I've never typically played survival games, but me and Lance have been talking about playing this one once again with some of our community members, and we actually have some giveaways coming up in the next few weeks, so definitely be on the lookout for something like that. In this game, it really feels like you're coming from rags, being like very weak and a measly vampire feeding off of rats and stuff, and then pushing all the way up to the top, having your own ginormous castle, building bases, and being like literally Dracula from Castlevania, which is freaking epic. It's so awesome in 2024 to see actual developers that are passionate for a game that's not just for some microtransaction full of bullcrap from a AAA company. Stunlock Studios is all about player experience and really giving the community the best version of the game they can. If you all are interested, click the link in the description below to go to the Steam homepage and try it out today. Grab your swords and sharpen your fangs because it's time to rise to power in V Rising. Okay, welcome back. Now, when it comes to Season of Discovery, there hasn't been much official news released lately, but the game is at a very crucial state right now. Once again, the new PvP Aura weekend wrapped up, and generally things felt very good across the board, with the only thing needed now is some minor adjustments to certain class abilities, specifically abilities that hit just way too hard, like Lava Burst, Starfire, Chimera Shot, things like that. We're not asking for hard nerfs, just some slight adjustments so that the balance for everybody else can be relatively the same. We were really hoping as players that they would just keep the aura that was in the game this weekend, but sadly they took it away with the weekly reset, which felt pretty bad. But hopefully they're releasing some new information about finalizing the PvP aura this weekend coming up so we can keep it permanently moving forward. Speaking of moving forward, it's no shocker that Season of Discovery has been seeing a decline in population due to the fact that, you know, we're dead smack in the middle of the phase, as well as Cataclysm coming out. So we asked you all in the community what directly from Season of Discovery's features can kind of be a part of this problem as well. Like, what are your favorite aspects of SOD, and what are your least favorite aspects of SOD? And I gotta tell you, the answers are kind of alarming here. Now, these are based off of the most common likes and dislikes. Starting off with the most common like that we saw was the new spell additions to the game, as well as the rune system. But something that goes hand in hand with this, with one of the most common dislikes, is the balancing of new runes and abilities, meaning that there are a lot of runes out there that are just simply not good or viable. One thing I can say about Season of Discovery so far is that sadly what a lot of players do is play the best rune combination out there, and that's really it. I think there are a lot of runes for every single class in the game that are just flat out bad at this point. Ice Lance for mages, Ancestral Guidance for shamans, Inspiration Exemplar for paladin, Shadow Flame for warlock. These are just a very small amount of the runes out there that are bad and no one ever really uses. So the number one most beloved feature in Season of Discovery is the runes and the spell additions, but there are a good quarter of the runes out there that are rarely used. That just seems like a missed opportunity I think the developers really need to look into. The second most liked feature commented was playing alternate characters and trying out the abilities and experiencing the class. Once again, a direct problem though that goes hand in hand with this is the large amount of work it takes to play an alternate character and how much time it takes to acquire runes. Everybody that I've asked about playing an alternate character tells me they want to and they love the idea. They just don't want to do the work that comes with it and doing all the same grinds they previously did on their main character. I think it's important to remember that all of these grinds and work in a normal MMO setting in World of Warcraft is never a problem. It's fun doing that. But I think having all of this in a seasonal format that we could all assume might not be coming around or sticking around forever, it's a pretty damn big turnoff for a lot of people. A lot of the early game runes for Phase 1 and 2 either require multiple players or take you on a long quest chain that people don't really want to do anymore. I think you should leave it as an option just in case you've never done it, but I also think it would be a really good idea if they gave us other ways to acquire these runes faster for our alternate characters. Like maybe we can spend 2 wild offerings to get a random rune for any class of your choice, or maybe make multiple runes drop for a class in every dungeon in the game to incentivize grouping and running dungeon content, kind of getting 2 birds with 1 stone there. Players love the idea of, playing alternate characters and trying out the new builds. They just don't love the idea of doing all the work behind it. Another big individual complaint from the player base has by far got to be the lack of raw endgame content. This is something that we've been discussing for a very long time as we've been making content on SOD, and I'm really hoping this is something they look to solve heading into the endgame level brackets. We're not going to dive too deep into this, but not too long ago, players were given surveys on potentially adding heroic dungeon type content, which would be immediately a very good addition heading into this endgame. Low barrier to entry content that wouldn't be plagued by parsing culture or like barrier to entry, challenging but also rewarding. Maybe you can add some new reputation to provide you with pets, mounts, gear, tabards, as well as potentially, rune rewards for your alternate characters if you progress through this reputation grind, to incentivize your alts. An even better idea would to then have all this reputation linked across all your characters so you don't have to do the grind over and over again. I mean, this is something the players want to see. Raw content, fun to do with a few of your friends and guildies that give you some really cool rewards. All the dungeons in SOD, have loot in there that are kind of just not really worth your time. They're kind of meaningless. This is why players are just spamming wild offerings with a 10-man raid group and skipping to the last boss. There's no rewards, for us as players to go in there. So more raw endgame content would be a very big win. And lastly, just to fire off a couple more, is one of the most commonly loved features is the addition to professions. We can all agree that a very big W there, that they added a bunch of things to professions, epic crafting quest lines and stuff like that. That's all really, really cool. And then another, by far, one of the most least liked features in Season of Discovery, without a doubt, is the incursions. It felt like every other comment under this community tab was crapping on incursions and saying how bad it was. And I agree. We've been saying it for weeks. The player base have been saying it for weeks. Nobody likes incursions. The rewards aren't really worth it. So please, Blizzard, if you're listening to this, do not make incursions a big feature next phase. I wouldn't even be mad if you took away the experience gain so people don't have to go spam that over and over. Lastly, for a very, very large portion of people that don't play anymore, surprisingly, the fact that 20-man raids that made a return this phase, people don't like. I'm not gonna lie, I was one of the people who thought 20-man raids were going to be really good for the game and, really helpful for bringing people together, but it actually did the opposite. It pretty much killed a ton of guilds out there. It almost killed mine. Every 5 seconds under my community tab, people are upset. They're complaining about 20-man raids and how it broke up their guild, how it's too hard to get 20 people together. It's a chore. And the truth of the matter is they're right. I don't really know what the solution to this could be. Do you guys have any solutions potentially to this problem? I mean, do they even make 40-man raids at all? Period? I think they might just have to break it down to 10-man raids. I'm not really sure, to be honest, but the truth of the matter is most players hate the 20-man raiding format, so we got to get something like this changed. Also, ladies and gentlemen, I think it's time to be brutally honest here with Season of Discovery, heading into this last phase. I think we're really at this point where we're at a fork in the road. There's very big potential for this version of WoW to make a comeback and be very fun, but there's also a lot of potential where it most likely will just fizzle out and die out over the next maybe month and a half. I think it's very clear what we need from Phase 4, and the player base is making it apparent and vocal what we want. We want more love and balancing for the runes that nobody uses because they're just bad and useless. It's wasted content. We want to play alternate characters, so we need a faster way to acquire runes so we can try out all the new flavors of classes that Season of Discovery is trying to offer. We need some more endgame content, whether it be PvE or PvP, like maybe new Battleground, a zone-wide PvP event, again, or heroic dungeons, content that doesn't have a large barrier to entry so we can just enjoy it with friends and, play in a lighthearted seasonal format like COD is. We want the developers to throw everything into kitchen sink out there possible so we can test it out in a classic format to help toward Classic Plus later on in the future. Like, what about arenas, guild banks, new quests, zones, dungeons, 1v1s, new features? We all want Classic Plus, but the truth is that that's not really what Season of Discovery is designed to be right now. So I vote unload the clip when it comes to new ideas and features towards Season of Discovery and go nuts with trying things out, and I think the community feels the same way. Agrin stated a couple days ago that he's going to be more active heading into next week's reset, so we're hoping we can get some news about next phase, maybe some things coming, some class adjustments, some rune additions, and, you know, finalization of the brand new PvP aura that everyone loves. So when it comes to Season of Discovery, we have to stay a little bit patient here, trust the developers are listening to us like they always have been throughout SOD's lifetime, and let them do what they do best. It also looks like the Discover's the light experience buff is getting even stronger now, increasing XP gains by 150% from level 0 through 39, and 100% for players level 40 to 49. I think if they continue to keep adding changes like this, it's going to make players want to participate in playing other classes. We just need to make it easier out there for the casual player base to, you know, acquire their runes and do a lot of the other things out there. Just have fun. The last bit of news for Season of Discovery, I was doing a little bit of digging for anything new coming up for SOD in some data mining, and I found an ability called the Ride Kaiju ability. It's a 40-yard range that's instant cast for hunters that might give you the ability to ride devil swords potentially next phase, which would be pretty freaking epic in my opinion. And then we once again got more hints at frozen orb coming from mages next phase, where we actually have a working tooltip where it's on a 1-minute cooldown and shoots an orb of swirling ice that moves forward for 16 seconds, which can be a huge deal for frost mages coming into the future. And then same goes for fairer spirits for shamans here. This leads me to believe that every class might be getting some very powerful cooldowns heading the next phase, which seems like it would be a lot of fun for, you know, PvP, PvE, lining up cooldowns and stuff like that, you know. So definitely we'll be on the lookout for this for any more additions to share with you all very soon. Now, moving on to the other side of World of Warcraft, Mr. Pandaria Remix is going to be releasing in exactly 1 week from today on May 16th. This is pretty much like, you know, your hyper accelerated way to enjoy Mr. Pandaria and everything the expansion has to offer. The thing is, though, a lot of the looting, gameplay, pretty much all that stuff like that has been completely overhauled. Think of it almost like a Diablo season that's quick, fun, if you're kind of into that sort of thing. Something that's really cool is that at the end of Mr. Pandaria Remix, you can take your character that you leveled in there, transfer them to retail, you know, live World of Warcraft, and then have them prepped and ready for the War Within expansion coming out in just a few months, which is a really interesting way to try to bring characters to try out retail. This is something that I, of course, am going to be trying out because, you know, it's a brand new feature for World of Warcraft. I gotta be trying it out somehow, you know? A lot of the content creators and players that did test it out recently, a few weeks ago, seemed to really enjoy it, what they were trying out. So let me know in the comment section below if you guys are going to be testing this out or participating, because I'm really curious to see if there are any of you out there that are, you know, interested in this sort of thing. Additionally, for retail WoW, the brand new Dark Heart 10.2.7 patch just launched a couple days ago, which is pretty much the final chapter of Dragonflight before heading into the War Within. So, of course, there are going to be a ton of catch-up mechanics to get you geared up, prepped up for the next expansion. This comes with some really cool heritage armor for the Troll and Draenei, which, in my opinion, the Troll armor looks way better than the Draenei, so they got to do something about that. They also gave a complete overhaul to the Hunter Pet Stable, which was very long overdue, so now a lot more information about your pets displayed. A lot of really nice quality of life features are added just to make it look overall better and feel smooth. You then have the brand new trading post options, easier way to acquire loot, and then from a story perspective, Khadgar has us go to Dalaran to help him investigate a mysterious figure called the Harbinger, which we do know as Xal'atath, who possesses a very powerful relic called the Dark Heart. He then asks Illyria Windrunner to join us in order to give her unique perspective on the matter, which I'm sure we're going to get a lot of nice little, you know, story tidbits there as well. All generally some pretty cool stuff, so if you're interested in playing retail WoW right now, personally, I'm going to wait until there's probably like a month left until, you know, War Within comes out to hop on retail. I don't really see a big reason to play it if there's like 3 or 4 months away for one patch. I myself am just going to wait for the new expansion to come out, get prepped, and then ease my way into retail World of Warcraft content. Moving on to some other gaming news, though, besides World of Warcraft, Diablo 4 is actually getting a pretty big update this month with its brand new season, the Season of Loot Reborn. I mean, we all know the tragedy and fall behind the game with that documentary we made a few months back, and it's good to see that developers are starting to make some pretty significant changes and sticking to this game and not letting it die out completely. It's bringing new content features like the Pit, which is kind of similar to Diablo 3's Greater Rifts, where you run through the dungeon as fast as possible with a boss at the end, where additionally all the loot that's dropped in the dungeon get at the end to acquire all at one time, so you don't have to spend time picking up organizing crap. So the faster you go, the more loot you earn. You then have crafting and gameplay features being updated that let you add your own affixes to items and gear, and then you also have the option of upgrading items through the mastery system up to 12 times with every 4 upgrades, granting like a really big boost to an affix of your choice. They're also reducing the amount of drops of loot in the world, but vastly increasing the quality. So less junk, better rewards, Helltide's got a revamp, mob density increased, added new events, and the Codex of Power actually now stores and holds all of your aspects whenever you salvage an item, and you don't have to physically have it in your stash or inventory, which was previously a huge pain in the ass organizing all of those. So very, very big win there. And thank God they're actually finally doing it, ladies and gentlemen. You can actually zoom out in the game now, so parts of the game don't feel so claustrophobic. So yeah, some pretty good changes there for Diablo 4 in the new season that actually entices me to try it out maybe in the next few weeks. There's always just a bazillion of quality of life things they can improve with Diablo 4 because it's kind of a mess. But this is definitely a big step in the right direction. So if you're thinking of trying out Diablo 4 after spending, $70+ on it, Season 4 comes out in less than a week. Additionally, there's another beta coming for the very difficult open world MMORPG Corepunk. This is a test that they actually pushed back another month, which was previously supposed to be released in April, but yes, it's finally coming out near the end of this month on May 27th. I tested this game out back in December. I think it was overall very fun, but just very bare bones and unforgiving, and definitely needed some quality of life upgrades to make it more feasible and playable to any given player out there. Well, it seems they made a lot of those changes, and this is the time to go test the game out, they're saying, and they're looking to show us how the game has improved overall, but have they taken a lot of this feedback from testers heading into this next open beta event to get it fixed. You got faster progression, less grinds, increase the number of rarity from resources that you gather, making the quest system more streamlined, straightforward, pretty much just everything you would want to make a game better, faster, and smoother overall and more fine-tuned. This is a game me and Lance have been keeping an eye on for the last couple years, and we've been really hoping it's going to launch and be successful soon. The art style looks something like Dota 2, and if you mixed MMORPG aspects in there with some hard difficulty and group content, I really feel like this game has a lot of potential, so I'm going to be trying this out. You got cool puzzles, epic boss battles, crafting, difficult quests, so I'm very, very hopeful that this time around with the testing, it's going to end up a lot better than the last time and bring us one step closer to the release. By the way, don't forget to leave your comments about World of Warcraft or any other game in general so we can discuss it here in these news videos like we're about to do right now. Starting off, we have Bunda stating that they should make reputations in SOD account-wide. And yeah, I think this is one of those things that really helps with alternate characters and kind of, reducing the amount of chores that you need to do on them. My favorite part about Season Discovery is the fact that all these classes get their brand new abilities, all these new runes, all these exciting additions, and I don't want to do all the work to try it out. I feel like if they reduce that sort of thing to allow us to play these alternate characters, it'd be a lot of fun. It's also a seasonal style game, the same amount of grinds as a regular MMO, and it's kind of a turnoff for a lot of the players out there. I think we need account-wide progression, account-wide reputation, easier ways to get runes, faster leveling, more action, more fun. You know what I mean? That's what the players want in this seasonal style of play, so I hope we can get that heading into next phase. Next up, we have Mark stating something that's sadly true, with the awkward moment when leveling a character in Cataclysm feels more like SOD than SOD. Everything feels so new, and it's like discovering World of Warcraft again. And yeah, I'm not gonna lie, that kind of hurts to hear out loud. I'm personally gonna pass on Cataclysm, though. I just don't have the energy or time to make a brand new character and then go hop on a brand new version of WoW. I'm gonna stick with SOD until minimum next phase, and we'll go from there. Lastly, we got Grief Toe stating, I have to say I wanted 20-man raids, but I was wrong. I'm exhausted too. I also agree that the casual theme of SOD has lost its way and making me want to alt F4. Yeah, we talked about it earlier in the video. 20-man raids and getting all those people together every single week is just it's exhausting when you're on a seasonal realm. I think the best thing the developers can do is shrink the raids and also make things more casual friendly. Getting back to that casual player base is probably the #1 thing that can save Season of Discovery heading to the last phase and, keep people there for a while, getting back to those phase 1 roots. But anyways, I just want to thank you guys so much for watching this video, man. If you're sitting here at the end, it truly means a lot when you're supporting the channel like this and sticking with us on this journey. We're going to be putting out news on, a wider variety of things as well as finishing off Season of Discovery and WoW. So if you guys enjoyed stuff like that, please let me know about it in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, please be sure to like and subscribe. We get absolutely flooded with World of Warcraft and gaming content in general. I want to thank you all so much for watching this video. It's an absolute pleasure to be making content for you all. Until the very end, my name is Sky from the Comeback Kids. I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.